Hello Legionnaires, and welcome to another character creation video. In this video, I'm going to try to create a character for Mutant Chronicles 3rd edition by Modiphius Entertainment. Please note the characters I create are all organically created and viable within the spirit of the game. I do not focus on optimization, nor do I cater to the whole play against type nonsense. Additionally, this video is strictly a character creation video. It is not a game mechanics, setting, or game lore video. I will not dive into those rabbit holes here. The character creation process for Mutant Chronicles 3rd edition follows a life path process. What that means is that we're going to create the character's life story from birth until just before your first play session. We'll do this over the course of 8 major decision points. If you enjoy these character creation videos and would like to see more, please like this video and leave a substantive comment to let me know. Be sure to subscribe to this channel with those notifications turned on to be informed when we go live or when a new video is available for your viewing pleasure. Speaking of going live, Legion of Myth hosts 2 live streams during the week. On Sundays at 1 p.m. Central, RPG Die Gest provides read-throughs, deep dives, overviews, and fundamentals of tabletop role-playing games, systems, and processes. On Friday at 6 p.m. Central, check out the Friday Night Chill stream where our panel of guests opine, comment, and editorialize on the TTRPG hobby as a whole. Refer to the video's description for links to the various Legion Myth sites, social media, Discord, merch, and etc. The charity we support is the Wounded Warrior Project, a national, non-partisan organization whose mission is to honor and empower wounded warriors. Please refer to the description below for the link to where you can make your potentially tax-deductible donation. Mutant Chronicles 3rd edition uses a life path system with 8 major decision points that create the background and abilities to get you started in the Mutant Chronicles universe. You'll also have 5 life points to spend to assist you with some of the decisions along the way. In most circumstances, the choice to use any life points must be made before you roll the dice. Typically, you may not use life points to replace a role you don't like. Decision 1 is the simplest. Start with each of the 8 attributes set to a value of 5. From there, you can reduce an attribute by 1 point in order to raise an attribute by 1 point. You can also spend a life point to simply increase an attribute to 6. In either case, no attribute can be reduced below 4 or raised above 6. Since I don't know how this is going to turn out and I'm not trying to create a specific type of character, I decided to leave all the attributes at 5. In Decision 2, you determine into which faction the character is born. This faction determines the character's first 2 skills, one of which will be a signature skill, 2 languages, and 1 talent. First things first, I roll a d6 and come up with a 5. This indicates the character was born into a major corporation. Another d6, this time with the result of 4, tells me the character was born into the Imperial faction. I guess it's time for me to brush off the British accent, huh? An Imperial Corporation child, the character learned to speak the Imperial faction language and the Luna Patois language. The character learns how to pilot terrestrial vehicles and shoot ranged weapons. I decide that I'll make the ranged weapon skill a signature skill for the character, which means it can be trained up to 5 ranks instead of the typical 3 rank. As an Imperial citizen in good standing, the character receives the faction talent. This means the character is subject to the laws and protections of the Imperial Corporation. I can reduce the restriction rating and cost by 1 when the character legally purchases an Imperial item. And no clansman can charge any other clansman for air or water. After 1 request, though, a clansman may treat the fellow clansman as a trespasser and bid the trespasser to leave his territory. Finally, before moving on to the next decision, I need to roll a faction event. I roll a d6 and come up with a 6, which on the faction events table reads, your grandfather's pistol. While not strictly legal, your family has kept an old aggressor pistol that has been handed down to you. Okay, so let's see how decision 2 affects this character. You can see the character's attributes did not change, but he did gain the faction talent for being an Imperial citizen. Here I indicate the 2 skills the character gained, as well as the faction event item. Decision 3 is where you determine the social and financial status of the character. This will indicate the type of living conditions and overall earnings the character has. It will also provide a new skill and a couple of attribute bonuses. In the first step, I rolled 2d6 and got a 7. According to the chart, this means the character's social status growing up was working lower. Working lower provides the character bonuses to the physique and strength attributes, and grants 1 rank in resistance. All around, this character just became a little tougher and more resilient to pain and impairment. The character also receives an earnings rating of average. As stated in the book, earnings represents a character's income, usually tied to a recurring or reliable resource stream, such as drawing on a salary, receiving dispensation, regular stock dividends, freelancing contracts, and so on. This earnings rating cannot be lowered throughout the remainder of this life path, but it can be upgraded. The character has some basic, well-worn clothing, some of which is new. He lives in a small suburban apartment in a quiet part of town. And for the item of interest, I chose a third-place sports trophy because why not? Alright, let's take a look at how Decision 3 affected this character. Here we see the increase to the character's physique and strength attribute. And here we add the resistance skill and equipment. Moving on from social status, let's discover the environment in which the character grew up here in Decision 5. The environment decision bumps up an attribute, grants another skill, and provides some more equipment for the starting character. I rolled a d6 and got a 6. This tells me the character grew up in a sequestered environment. For the Imperial faction, this means one of its clan fortresses or estates. An estate sounds too yuppie for a working lower class person, so I went with a clan fortress. I'm pretty sure that growing up sequestered in the fortress reinforced faction abilities, so between the options of coordination and physique, I selected to increase the coordination attribute. I get to add the willpower skill to the character, and for the one item I'm allowed to choose, I selected a notable object, a relic of personal significance. As we hit the halfway point of our decision-making process, let's see what the character looks like at the end of Decision 4. On this slide, we really only have the 1-point increase to coordination. And on this slide, we added the willpower skill and the relic. Up to now, these decisions have provided a mix of background information along with a couple of mechanical benefits. Moving forward, we're about to step on the accelerator and really make some noticeable changes to this character, so let's get to it. It is time for Decision 5, where you determine the type of adolescent education your character receives. This education is going to add multiple attribute increases, multiple skill ranks, another talent, a career progression path, and a piece of equipment to the character. The education options are as follows. Roll 1d6 and consult column A. Pay 1 life point to pick from column A or B. Or pay 2 life points to pick from column C. So while it is not required by any stretch of the imagination, this may be a decision where you'll want to spend a life point or 2. I did. With that in mind, I decided to spend 2 of the character's 5 life points to select Officer Candidate from column C. Officer Candidate provides the following attribute bonuses: plus 3 points to personality, plus 2 points to mental strength and physique, and plus 1 point to coordination, intelligence, and strength. Officer Candidate provides 1 rank of skill training in athletics, command, education, observation, and persuade. For the character's 2 elective skills, I selected close combat and ranged weapons. I am allowed to select 1 talent from any of the character's mandatory skills. It's officer training, so I went with a bit of leadership and selected professional, which is the first talent for the command skill. It allows me to re-roll 1 d20 when making a command test. Officer training allows me to pick a military or executive career in Decision 6 without spending a life point. We'll come back to that when we get to Decision 6. Finally, officer training provides the character a pair of light military shoulder pads because shoulder pads, 1 military dress uniform, and a corporate appropriate handgun, which turns out to be the PSA Mark 14 Aggressor. With all of that added to the character, we get to find out if anything interesting happened while the character attended officer training school. Third step of Decision 5 is to roll up the adolescent event. You can spend a life point to re-roll a result you don't like, or if your game master approves, you can spend a life point to pick a result. I rolled 2d20 and got a result of 33, which reads, "There's something you cannot get enough of." What is it? You will take risks to satisfy your craving. This provides the character with the trait of addict. Apparently, the stigma of coming from a lower-class working family and the stress of those exams led this cadet to seek some form of escape. Availability tests for procuring the substance, activity, or behavior to which the character is addicted are difficulty 1, so it's not too difficult for the character to satisfy the addiction, but there is always the chance of failure. The GM can also spend Dark Symmetry to trigger the addiction at an inconvenient time. It is a potential drawback for sure, but not one that's unplayable or debilitating. Right now you're probably asking yourself, what is the character addicted? I don't know. I'll work that out with the GM to determine something appropriate for that campaign. Alright, with that adolescent event resolved, let's take a look at the changes to the character. Here you can see the impact of those attribute increases and the addition of the new talent and trait. The skill list grew significantly, so much so I had to move the equipment list to its own slide. The equipment list grew a bit as well, with his nice new military ensemble. 16 years old and 5 of 8 life path decisions down, so let's transition into adult and get a job here in Decision 6. Decisions 6 and 7 are both career phases. You must go through 2 career phases, but can go through as many as 4 of them. Your first career phase will be from Decision 6, and adds multiple attribute increases, multiple skill ranks, a new signature skill, another talent, a potential earnings increase, and a piece of equipment. After your first career phase, your subsequent career phases could be from Decision 6 or Decision 7, depending on your choices and some random rolls. Also note, whether you put the character through 2, 3, or 4 career phases, only the first or primary career phase increases your character's attributes. The character will still get skills, talents, earnings, equipment, and events, just not the attribute increases. In career phase 1, your options are as follows. Roll 1d6 and consult column A. Pay 1 life point to pick from column A or B. Pay 1 life point to roll on column C or D. Or pay 2 life points to pick from column C or D. If you don't like the result of the roll, you can pick one of the free career options provided by the character's education. For the character we're creating in this video, that would be Military Basic, which is a column B career, or Corporate Executive, which is a column D career. While there might be more clout and riches in a Corporate Executive, everything about this character leads to a military career, so I just went for the free Military Basic selection. With his educational background, I like to think he was some kind of low-ranking cadet, subaltern, warrant officer, or lieutenant. The Military Basic career provides the following attribute bonuses: +2 to coordination, mental strength, physique, and strength, and +1 to agility, awareness, and intelligence. The Military Basic career provides 1 rank of skill training in athletics, close combat, and ranged weapons. For the 2 elective skills, I chose mechanics and survival. Hey, the character's got to be able to do more than just shoot and punch, right? The character already has ranged weapons as a signature skill, so I can select either athletics, close combat, or survival as a new signature skill. I picked survival. Survival training is good for any frontline soldier or officer. I'm allowed to select 1 talent from any of the character's mandatory skills. Continuing with the ranged theme, I selected Sniper, which is the first talent for the ranged weapon skill. The Sniper talent allows me to re-roll a number of damage dice equal to the number of ranged weapon talents the character has. Right now the character has just this 1 ranged weapon talent, so that's just 1 die. But as the character gains more talents in ranged weapons, I'll be able to re-roll more damage dice. This stint in the military provided the character with a ballistic nylon military uniform, a corporate standard assault rifle, a Mark 11 Bravo Invader battle rifle, and a pair of medium military shoulder pads. Ha! An upgrade! The basic military career provides an earnings rating of 1, which is a meager existence. However, earnings cannot be lowered during the life path, so for this character it remains at a 2. You may disagree, but I think this lends a slight bit of credibility to the concept that this character might be a low-ranking officer instead of an enlisted grunt. The character entered this military service at age 16. To determine how long the tour of duty lasted, roll 1d6 and add 1 to the roll. I rolled a 4. Plus 1 is 5. The character's service lasted for 5 years. Now we get to find out if anything interesting happened during those 5 years. As was the case with the adolescent event, you can spend a life point to re-roll a career event you don't like. Or if the Game Master approves, you can spend a life point to pick a result. I rolled 2d20 and came up with 17. Man, these events won't cut me a break. The result reads, whatever you did, and it was bad, you've paid for it now, but he will not give up. Apparently I wronged, harmed, or otherwise angered someone pretty badly, and while I have atoned for this misdeed, this weirdo just won't let it drop. The character gains the trait called I am your nemesis. Nemeses are stronger than generic NPCs. In fact, they are as tough as player characters. A nemesis is yet another thing a GM can bring up at an inopportune time through the use of dark symmetry points. Alright, so the character's primary career phase is now done. From here, I can choose a new Decision 6 career, continue the same Decision 6 career, or try for a Decision 7 iconic career. I see no reason not to try for an iconic career, so that's what I'm going to do in Decision 7. Before we do that though, let's see how all these Decision 6 changes affected the character. Here you can see the impact of all those attribute increases, and that we added 1 new talent and 1 more trait. Spoiler alert, pay special attention to the coordination attribute rating of 9. This is the updated skill list with a new signature skill added in. Spoiler alert number 2. Pay special attention to the ranged weapon expertise of 3. For those who may be curious, all skill ranks for this character are in skill expertise. None are in focus at this time. And the updated equipment. The 3 iconic professions for the Imperial Corporation are Conquistadors, Murders and Acquisitions Agent, and Blood Beret. The only one that interests me, and the only one for which the character qualifies, is Blood Beret. Becoming a Blood Beret or any iconic profession is not automatic. First, the character must meet all of the prerequisites, then you need to make an appropriate skill roll to see if the character is accepted into the profession. The prerequisites for Blood Beret are be an Imperial citizen, check, have a military education or career, double check, and have a close combat or ranged weapon expertise of 1, another double check. This character has them all. Next, I need to make a skill test using one of the Blood Beret's mandatory skills, ranged weapons, stealth, or athletics. Of course, I chose ranged weapons. Ranged weapons is based on coordination, so I take the coordination attribute rating of 9 and add that to the character's ranged weapon expertise rating of 3 for a total of 12. This means I need to roll a 12 or less on 2d20. Becoming a Blood Beret has a difficulty of 2. This means I need to roll a 12 or less on both of the 20-sided dice. Now I could spend 1 life point to lower the difficulty from 2 to 1, which would mean I'd only need 1 d20 to roll a 12 or less. But I don't like to make good, sensible decisions, so it's the hard way or the no way, baby. Let's do this. I rolled a 9 and a 1. Bam! Both dice rolled a 12 or less. Therefore, this character is now a Blood Beret. So what do I get for being a Blood Beret? Let's find out. As the Blood Beret career phase is the second career phase for the character, Military Basic was the first, no attributes are improved. The Blood Beret profession does provide the following skill bonuses though, plus 2 ranks to Athletics, Ranged Weapons, and Stealth. For my 2 elective skills, which also receive a 2 rank bonus, I selected Command and Mechanics. For the character's new signature skill, I can choose from Athletics, Close Combat, Ranged Weapons, and Stealth. The character already has Ranged Weapons as a signature skill, so that's out. I've been ignoring Athletics and Close Combat since the start, so let's continue that trend. And I think Stealth may help with my growing Sniper motif. So I add another 2 ranks to the Stealth skill and mark it as a signature skill. I'm allowed to select 2 talents from Athletics, Close Combat, Ranged Weapons, and Stealth. It would probably make a lot of sense to add talents to ranged weapons, so instead, I decided to select Scout, which is the first talent for this Stealth skill. I followed that up with Living Shadow, which is also a Stealth skill talent. My hope is that these two talents will assist the character when attempting to take on an Overwatch or Sniper role. There's some good news in the earnings department. It seems that Blood Berets take care of their own. I get an increase to the character's social status from working lower to working middle, and the earnings rating from 2, which is average, to 3, a comfortable living. Finally, the Blood Berets provide the character a Mark 43 plasma carbine, a Mark 14 aggressor pistol. How many aggressor pistols does this guy need? The answer is all of them. The character also receives a set of Mark III combat armor, a dagger, and we're done. How long was the character's Blood Beret service for this career phase? Once again, roll a d6 and add a 1. I rolled a 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. So I had another 5 years to the character's age. After 2 career phases, 5 years in the basic military and 5 years as a Blood Beret, the character is 26 years old. Oh yeah, I can't forget to roll another career event. First an addiction, then a nemesis. Hey, maybe this one will strike the character with lightning. I'll get to add the lobotomy trait. Well, that's my luck. Well, let's see here. I rolled 2d20 and I got a 26. Well, looky there. Something good. Whether through playing the lottery, from combat spoils, a poker tournament, proper investments, or whatever, the character is now affluent with an earning rating of 4. From meager beginnings to an affluent Blood Beret, life may have been hard, but he's made the most of it, and the best is yet to come. There are no attribute changes to talk about, but look at all those talents we have now. Sure, they may not be focused on one skill, but I think they fit this character's background quite well. From leadership school to a basic military tour to his time as a Blood Beret. You'll notice some slight changes with regard to how the skills are presented. Notably, there is now a number in parentheses after certain skills. The first number is the skill Expertise. The second number is the skill's Focus. The difference between Expertise and Focus is outside the scope of this character creation video. For any skills without parentheticals, treat the number as Expertise. Once again, I ask you, how many aggressor pistols does one need? If you paid attention earlier, you know the answer to that question. Go ahead and put that answer in the comments in order to receive your passing credit in this Mutant Chronicles 3E character creation course. But we're not done yet. There's one more major decision process to go. In Decision 8, we have a lot of little steps to complete in order to polish the character and make it ready for play. First, we give the character 2 Chronicle points. During gameplay, the character can spend these points to help the character with things such as extra dice, extra actions, etc. Next, I decided to spend the 3 unused life points to raise the character's mechanics, pilot, and survival skills by 1 rank. Moving on, I have all this newfound stealth ability, but my agility attribute is only a 6. I need to fix that. Luckily in Step 8, I can increase 1 attribute by 2 points. Let's turn that 6 into an 8. Skills are not left out of this mix. I can increase 2 skills from an Expertise or Focus of 0 to 1. I chose to increase the focus of both the command and the survival skills. My intent is for a thematic and well-rounded character, not a one-dimensional combat monster. Finally, I get to add 1 talent to any of the character skills. As in, I hope to be Sniper someday character, this Imperial Blood Beret needs to be able to survive on his own. So I add the self-sufficient talent, which falls under the survival skill. That's all the choices I have to make. Now we move on to the calculated or derived stats. Ranged combat damage is boosted by the awareness attribute, close combat damage is boosted by the character's strength attribute, and influence is boosted by the personality attribute. Next, I fill in the character's wound boxes, the number of which comes from a chart that refers to the sum of the character's physique plus strength. Mental wounds is next, which is equal to the character's mental strength attribute. Since I already have a trait, well, 2 in fact, I don't need to add 1, so I'll skip this step. Finally, I finish up by determining the character's starting assets. This is equal to the character's personality attribute value, and 8 for this character. From here, it's up to you whether you want to use the optional aging and relationship rules, but for the purposes of this video, I'm calling this character done. I'll flip through the next 3 slides rather quickly so I can end the video showing you the completed character sheet. Here you can see the bump to agility and the list of talents. Alright, maybe he's not the best murder hobo in the galaxy, but I think that's a nice set of skills to get the character started. The character has a few different avenues in which to specialize based on the tone of the campaign. Those 8 assets can be used to purchase items before or during the game, which is something I do once I know the theme of the game and get a better idea of the Game Master's setting or campaign objective. And here's what a filled-in character sheet looks like. It may look a little differently than how you'd do it, but that's okay. There are a few holes, so to speak, especially in areas where I'd personally wait until after I've had a chance to talk to the GM or during session 0. I mean, does that old aggressor pistol use the same stats as the new model? Heck, does it even work? Also, I couldn't fit every weapon in the space provided, so the dagger isn't recorded here, nor is my other armor option. But it would be simple to have that information on a 3x5 card or in a notebook anyway. The soak ratings reflect the character wearing the Mark III combat armor. And here's the rest of the information. Ironically, there is a life path worksheet in the character sheet pack. I didn't know about that until I started to fill out the character sheet for this video. Look, I'm an old notebook guy, so I don't typically use publisher-provided character sheets. Anyway, I'm sure that the life path worksheet can be quite useful and helpful for you. And you can find these character sheets for free on DriveThruRPG. Please like this video and leave a comment to appease the YouTube algorithm gods. Share this video on your favorite social media platforms to help us peer out of the shadows cast over us. And if you have not done so already, please subscribe to Legion of Myth for more tabletop RPG goodness. Watch tabletop role-playing game deep dives, overviews, and fundamentals live every Sunday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time on RPG Digest. Or, if you're the more daring type, check out the Friday night show stream where I and a panel of guests opine, comment, and editorialize on the TTRPG hobby as a whole. We believe that role-playing games should take place in fantastic worlds, and that the focus of the game should be on role-playing and having a good time. The core values of #RPGate and any good tabletop group are escapism, not representation, entertainment over activism, and natural, organic inclusion, not forced diversity. And with that, I hope you have a wonderful day.